Morning Discovery. My name is Lorena Cardenas, and today we are going to be making a triptych with mixed media collage, which will involve a lot of paint and a lot of cut paper.
Today we're going to be working on a triptych, and that means 3. So that usually involves 3 separate panels that come together and form a scene. Our inspiration today is our local San Antonio with our skyline and also our riverwalk.
For our triptych, we're going to be needing some basic supplies like cardstock and construction paper, maybe even some tissue paper if you have it. We're also going to be needing some acrylic paint. White and blue will do for this specific one. Some glue. And we will also be needing some scissors, a ruler, 2 pencils, a regular pencil and then a white colored pencil, and some brushes, and some yarn.
You need 2 pieces of cardstock with holes on either side and 1 with only on one side. For that, you can use any basic hole punch. I have this 3-1, and if you don't, you can also use the single hole punch, or you can use a pencil and carefully poke it through the paper. If you're a little younger, try to have a parent or guardian help you out with that step. On each of the cardstocks, what we're gonna do is we are going to make a box within it, and for that, all you need is a ruler and a pencil. You're gonna take your pencil and try to line up your ruler as much as you can to the edge of the paper, and then you are just going to follow your ruler and make 2 long lines on the far side of the paper. It's okay if it's a little crooked. We all make a little bit mistakes. Then you're gonna take your ruler and you're gonna do the same thing on the shorter ends of the paper. And then you just have to erase your lines. And you do that on all of your cardstock. For the top of your triptych, what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab some glue and a brush and some sort of sheet of paper. You can use tissue paper or construction paper, just make sure it's a sort of a light blue. And you're also gonna need a strip of black construction paper about 3 inches and 6 inches long. What you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your glue and you are going to carefully along the lines put down some glue. Don't worry about filling the lines exactly. It's okay to be a little bit messy. The brush helps with precision, but it's not necessary. As soon as you finish with your glue, you grab your sheet of paper, either tissue or the construction, and carefully try to line it up with your corners. If you're using tissue paper, remember that it's a little delicate when it gets wet, so it might tear. Just be really careful and try to pat down and not to shift it around once you have it on the glue. As soon as that's done, you can put that aside and we can start working on our skyline. For your skyline, all you have to do is grab your white pencil and make some guidelines with your ruler. Just like before, we are using the width of the ruler to give us a basic idea. Use 2 lines to give you some idea on how big you want to make your buildings. Then using your ruler again, you're gonna make it vertical and go along the paper, just using your width of your ruler. Essentially what you're doing is you're making a grid so you have an idea how your buildings fit in a straight line. As soon as you have your grid, all you have to do is try to think of images that are iconic to San Antonio, and one of the simplest ones is probably the Tower of the Americas. And for that, you just need a simple shape of a trapezoid, a dome, or a half smiley face. The lightning rod is just a straight line. And then the actual tower part is also a straight line. Essentially, to make a skyline, all you have to do is think about simple shapes that make up buildings. Squares are very similar, and there's also for a skyline, all you have to remember is that a lot of buildings are made of simple shapes like squares or rectangles and trapezoids. For this, just think of buildings that you know around town, or maybe you can do something more personal like your own home. As soon as you finish with your skyline, what you're going to do is you're going to grab some scissors and carefully cut it out. As soon as you finish cutting that out, what you're going to do is you're going to grab some more glue and carefully brush it around the edges of your silhouette of your skyline. And then carefully grab your skyline, flip it, try to line it up as much as you can to the edge of your box, and press it down. And this is our first part of our triptych. For the second part, you're gonna grab your second piece of cardboard, some green construction paper and another black sheet, and your blue paint. For your paint, you are going to mix white and blue together and then fill out all of your triptych panel with that blue paint. Don't worry about being inside the lines, just try to get it as close as you can. As soon as you're finished painting your second panel, what you're gonna do is you're gonna set that aside so it can dry, and you're gonna grab some black paper and some green construction paper. For the black paper, you're gonna once again do a grid like we did with our first silhouette. But unlike before, we're not gonna do our vertical lines, and instead what we're gonna do is more or less choose the center of our paper. And do a line representing the underside of some of our Riverwalk bridges. Set that aside. Grab your green construction paper and draw several circles of different sizes. These are going to be lily pads. You can make them big, you can make them small. Just make several. And as soon as you're finished with the circles, what you're going to do is you are simply going to draw a triangle inside each of the circles, kind of like a pizza.
As soon as you're finished cutting out your lily pads and your bridges, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your glue and your brush and slowly put your glue all over the back. You're going to take your bridge and put it towards the top of your paper. Trying to line it up as much as possible with your lines. And as soon as you're finished with that, you're going to be taking your lily pads and gluing it onto the sheet. For your lily pads, it's up to you how you want to arrange them. You can make them have completely taken over the river, or you could just place one or two. It depends on how you want your triptych to look. For the last part of our triptych, what we're going to do is we're going to have our last square painted the same color as your second panel, And we're gonna be taking some construction paper. I'm gonna be using yellow, but you can use any color you want to make us some wildlife. For example, some fish. For the fish, it's super easy to use basic shapes to make a silhouette. For a standard fish, you can do a long oval, and then a triangle at the end for its tail, a half circle for its bottom fin, and then a long uneven triangle for its top fin. Another example of a fish would be a catfish. So we can start off with a circle, that extends out with a curved triangle and ends with 2 half circles and then for its whiskers, 2 slightly curved rectangles. As soon as you're finished making as many fish as you want, what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut them out and grab your trusty glue and start adding them to your final panel. And if you have any extra lily pads from your second panel, you can add them as well to your last panel.
As soon as you're finished with all 3 of your panels, what you're gonna do is grab some yarn and cut it about double the length of your actual paper. And as soon as you have 3 cut out, what you're gonna do is start threading it through the hole punches that you made at the beginning. And you can just tie it together with a simple knot. And then bring it all together by weaving your string through the holes. To bring in all of your panels into one piece. Inspired triptych. As you can see, it was made with mixed media, which basically means using different materials to make a single piece. And for that, you can do anything you want, be inspired by anything that you think is better. We use San Antonio during the day. We could also make one that is a night scene with a little bit more detail than what we did for our day scene. It just really depends on what you want to make. It's your piece. Happy making.